This is Mrs. Taylor, and I want to review some of the order the steps problems you had in one of your Google Classroom assignments. I think it's really important that you recognize that even though you can have the exact same equation in several slides, so slide 4, slide 5, both had the same equation, but there are two different methods for solving it. And so you have to look at what your options are for these steps and determine if you were to solve it the way the steps show, what order would that be? So when I look at this equation, I may start by dividing both sides by 5. But if you look, it says divide both sides by 5 here. Well, that's great. But then if I did that, the 20 divided by 5 would be 4, and then I would just add 2 to both sides. But do you notice how there's a step here that says distribution property? So even though I might start by dividing both sides by 5, these steps are set up so that I would distribute first, then add the 10 to both sides, then divide by 5. In the next slide, it's a little bit different, because you are not given the distribution property. So you are to divide both sides by 5 and then add 2 to both sides. You have to pay attention to what steps they give you. The very last problem I've noticed has been giving several of you some trouble. Again, you have to pay attention to the steps. So if you look at this, you may start by adding 3 to both sides, and that option is here. And then you may subtract 4x from both sides, and that's great. That may be how you solve this equation. But if you look, you have these other 2 boxes here that you have to consider. And so to have a simplified a 3x minus 3 equals 3 box, that meant that you had to subtract 4x first and then add 3. So even though doing your work on your paper, you may add 3 first, according to these steps, I have to subtract 4x first. So just some things that I noticed with this exercise that consistently folks were getting confused about.